Everyone, I am Anna and welcome back to the Diary of Atomic Love. Today we're talking about wearing the armor of God from Ephesians 6:10-20. The whole armor of God. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as the shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of Spirit, which is the word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me in opening my mouth boldly and proclaiming the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I might declare boldly as I ought to speak. Now, you have heard me many times speak about spiritual realms and battles. And this set of verses tells you about them. And as believers, we are continually engaged in a spiritual battle. There is no way that we can fight it without the power of God and still retain victory in human life. Christian life will mean that you have to participate in spiritual experiences and battle throughout your life. It's not a maybe, it will occur. Warfare is all around us every day. Spiritual darkness is at hand, and all you have to do is turn on the nightly news to hear all about it. It takes a tremendous amount of courage in human life to face these battles as a Christian, because many Christians are persecuted and attacked for openly speaking out. I am attacked regularly, and I have been called everything from a saint to crazy, and I could care less, because I am aware of what some others aren't, and I am not afraid to say it. You see, wearing the armor of God means to choose God when life is heavy, when it's overwhelming, and when you are in the battlefield or feeling less than courageous. It's not about fighting other humans, but standing steady and responding to truth, holding peace and trusting God by praying and by other means of faith. It means to choose to wear this armor and be protected by his leagues of angels. And if right now you were saying, yeah, okay, leagues of angels, armor, what the heck is she talking about? Well, stick with me because I'm about to explain it to you. I have continually told you about my journey in life. And my journey was not always filled with honesty, renewal, awakening, courage, hope, or reflections of the many things that I've told you about on my platform. Before all this, I would say I lacked a deeper faith. I was spiritually weak. I drained on many days, and I felt disconnected. Oh, I read my Bible occasionally. I prayed mostly when I needed something, like most others do. I had withdrawn from going into the church, opting for television church instead. And I was somewhat disengaged in spirituality and religion. And though I had faith, I couldn't really feel God's presence readily, which caused some doubt. At one time, I even questioned my faith because of the suicide death of 3 people that I loved. I wouldn't say I was unstable, but I would say that I needed the wake-up call I got. I had spent quite a lot of my time being defeated by the enemy who had found me at the lowest time in my life. I was lacking some spiritual strength and perseverance, though I had already lived through more than you could possibly know. I could withstand wicked people, but I'd fallen into traps over time. And during my weakest point, I would say temptation was something that I actually wanted. I looked to others to help me, to sustain me in times of doubt, and I misunderstood God's words in the Bible sometimes. And I refused to surrender because I'm very stubborn, or at least I used to be. I had every excuse in the world to avoid what I needed to face. I was prideful, a little self-centered, somewhat absent, short-tempered, fearful, and full of doubt. I was weak, helpless, hopeless, had little self-control, and I could barely say no to anything. I was in pain, but I was trustable only because of my empathy. And I knew what it was like to be kicked when I was down. Now, some might hear me say all this and be like, yeah, she was exactly like that. And some will say I wasn't like that at all, that I was the kindest person that they'd ever met. See, it depends on how you fit into my journey that you know me, because I've learned something special and specific along the way, and I'm going to share it now, and it falls into human love. You see, the armor of God is a necessary component of human love. They work in tandem, and they complement each other. You see, the verses I shared tell you that each piece of armor will protect you. And if you are a believer from temptation and spiritual attack, when properly worn in faith, they act as the defense against the unseen rulers, cosmic powers, authorities of darkness in the human world. They stop the spiritual forces of evil in realms far beyond what we can see with our human eyes, but we feel every day in our heart. Heavenly realms are filled with both angels and demons, inhabited by God, residing in heaven, and it is a place that is a battleground, filled with both good and evil, and we are engaged in warfare with some of these forces. This is a place that is not the physical heaven that we learn about, the atmosphere that we visualize above us, but different realms, many of them which are continually in conflict over our human souls. You see, the fight rages on until we die. And it is only then that we find out our faith. If we believe in faith enough to have our name in the Lamb's book, or if we will perish in the lake of fire. In these places, they are domains beyond the earthly spheres, and they are invisible to us, but present and filled with spiritual activity. And there are many people who don't believe this because they're so unfaithful that they only see the earthly sky. But heavenly realms are beyond that, even past what is known currently by those who study space. And it is beyond human reach on purpose, the unseen world beyond our own. What we see and realize in the future is what is there. And if right now you are of the belief that I have quite an imagination, let me assure you that the Dead Sea Scrolls continually discuss this. Isaiah was very specific about it. And these ancient manuscripts confirm the reliability of what was said in the scrolls. Believers of Christ have special blessings in this place, and we are seated with God there. This is the present reality we are given while waiting for our future realization. The New Testament will tell you that while you're here on earth, you are affected by the evil forces in these realms, but this is all a part of God's plan. Because to understand his plan, his authority, and his holiness, we first have to face adversity. Understanding the resurrection of Christ to be able to attest to the kingdom. Understanding that his physical death was conquered by Jesus' death. He rose, ascended, and has arrived at heaven at the right hand of the Father. And by understanding these events and by attestation of finding Christ's agape love within ourselves, we receive the same inheritance into heaven as followers in faith. So while we reside in the physical world on earth, we understand that we are spiritually united with Christ, which is our positional reality, despite physically living here on earth. We have true citizenship in heaven, and therefore residing in that heavenly realm. And this assures that we have spiritual blessings, and as we transform here on earth, if we choose to, that like we have a place on earth, our identity will be shaped in that realm, and our rights there will change based on how we live here on earth. As Christ followers, we will and do face persecution, and we are sometimes mistreated and often face harsh diversity in a life for the right to have a radically changed human life and to have a miraculous and genuine encounter with God and come to be of service while here to that kingdom. This explains how I previously discussed at the beginning of this series our complex DNA and our intelligent human design, how closely we are connected to Christ and to each other. God speaks all spiritual and physical realms into existence. And he aligned us to be here in this current now and to understand his presence while we're here. Allowing him to reside both in physical world and intertwined in us physically and also in the spiritual realm. And if you care to study the Dead Sea Scrolls, you will understand better. But the Bible will explain it to you as well in a little less detail. It will all show you the true reality, which is that heaven is here just as guaranteed as we walk on the earth. They aren't make-believe, and even science now verifies, for those of you unbelievers following me right now, that they can't see into the end of the heavens, despite the best tools, satellites, and spaceships. And the experience of transformation that someone like me goes through brings the foundational understanding to share with people like you who listen, who care to listen, being an attested witness to the promise of redemption and miraculous transformation. So I'll end with this. If you are a believer and understand or want to understand the work of Jesus on earth, the joint realms of God, or the finished work of Christ, you must live a life of glorifying God, because from that flows our place, our citizenship in heavenly realms. And truthfully, as I've gone down the rabbit hole to find my own salvation, I have found so much more. I've been given divine light, and I understand with zero doubt that hope rests in Christ by evidence and by faith. And it transcends the earthly world that we live in. You can't imagine what I have become aware of, or the wisdom that I've been given, or the immense love I can feel. Honestly, I can hardly contain it. I am a disciple of God who is a magnificent architect of earthly and heavenly places. And I've been given a miraculous gift of understanding, something I fail so harshly to explain enough to anyone. Human love is truly a reflection of God's love, and this is the armor that keeps us safe while we are here. It is a tool gifted to us, but it is only obtained through the strength and grace of faith found outside of the human world. It is through love that we are called to act and to find mercy. It is love that is our defense. And if you want to live in harmony, peace, joy, and faith, you must understand not only the foundation of Christ, but how we are designed to be the human component of the armor of God. Because without the combination completing each other, we could never overcome the evil of those realms. It is truly, truly love that saves us. And the faster we realize it and the more we choose it, the safer we become in both places. In a world where you can be anything, choose to be love. Love is the answer. If this resonated with you, please like and share my post. And thank you for your donations to My Divine Mission and for helping me to keep my messages alive. I'll see you tomorrow.